The history of Trunks now might look quite different. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now, the history of Trunks narrative is probably one of the most successful and most fondly remembered stories in the entire Dragon Ball franchise. Despite it only being a 48-minute TV special, it left a huge mark on the fandom, as well as profiting off the back of one of the show's fan favourites, Future Trunks. People wanted to know exactly what happened to Future Trunks prior to him arriving in the main show. The resulting History of Trunks special arrived on February the 24th, 1993, just about when the Cell games were about to actually start. So you could say this was like a little bit of a pause before we start the Cell games main narrative properly. We have some time to just reflect back on what had gone before. You know that Future Trunks guy that you really like? What happened to him in the past? Well, let's find out. The premise to the original History of Trunks story is that Goku succumbed to the heart virus 6 months earlier than he did in the main show. As a result, it meant that there was nobody strong enough to take on the artificial humans, and so everyone just died one by one. It was quite brutal. Even Vegeta, when he actually managed to get Super Saiyan, was not strong enough. Goku had to prop up the Z Fighters, and with him not there, it was just awful. Out of the main contingent of the Z Fighters, Bulma, Gohan and Trunks are the only ones that survived. Also Yajirobe, as we found out in the Goku Black arc, but hey, we might as well throw that timeline a bone, eh? Gohan would grow up to become the Earth's strongest fighter and actually lead the charge against 17 and 18, albeit somewhat successfully, maybe. But ultimately, his power was just not strong enough, and further on into the special, he succumbed to the powers of the artificial humans. Up until that point, he had been training Trunks to become a Super Saiyan because he had powers inside of him, he had a lot of potential, and ultimately he would have to then take over the reins as being Earth's protector, if Gohan became old, or he died in battle. Which he did. All of this despite Bulma's misgivings, because you kind of need a child, you don't want him to die in battle, but you gotta protect the world. It's a bit of a catch-22. But I also believe that Bulma's misgivings would have only been intensified once Gohan had died. But what if Gohan didn't die? What if instead he survived? Usually in my what ifs, I like to keep Future Trunks' timeline constant, so it's consistent no matter what scenario I do. Timelines work weirdly in Dragon Ball, as you most likely know. But this time, we are going to change that timeline. We are going to look into the possibility of what would happen with future Gohan still around had he not died at the hands of the robots. Now let's take the story to around about the time when 17 and 18 were fighting Gohan and Trunks around the originally named Super World Amusement Park. That's such a great name, guys. Mwah. Beautiful. So unique. Once 17 and 18 tore that amusement park apart out of frustration of not killing Gohan and Trunks, Gohan, as we know, lost his arm, and it was a miracle that both of them survived, with Gohan giving the last senzu bean they had on them to Trunks. It actually made me think, could you actually cut a senzu bean in half and then use it on each other, and then you would still recover somewhat, you'd be able to actually function and get away, you wouldn't be back up to full strength, but you have enough? Never actually explored that. I wonder if it's even possible. Leave your thoughts in the comment for that one. Gohan and Trunks arrive back at Capsule Corporation where Gohan can recover. Once he is back to full health, Trunks asks him if there is any way that they can even try and figure against the artificial humans, find a way to get stronger quickly. There has to be something that can help them. They're lucky to have senzu beans because Yajirobe is the only one that tends to them once Korin had been killed by number 18 in the ensuing chaos earlier. Bulma then casually talks about the lookout, whether it's even still there. If it is still there, maybe Mr. Popo's there. He could have answers perhaps. It's better than just doing nothing or just going blindly into another battle and then just getting yourself killed. Maybe Popo has the answer to everything. It's worth a try, I suppose. Now, for those of you thinking that Mr. Popo was also killed by 17 and 18, there hasn't actually been any official confirmation from either Toriyama or Toei's writing staff. Or at least none that I could find when I was researching this scenario. Korin was killed for sure. Kami was also killed because Piccolo was killed directly and vicariously means no Dragon Balls to be seen, but Popo was left as a little bit of an enigma. It's never been properly confirmed, so if Popo is still alive on the lookout, he could prove quite useful. Whilst being sure to hide their power levels, Gohan and Trunks then head up towards Korin's tower and then upwards even further to what remains of the lookout. Wonder if there's still something there. It is there, thankfully, but it looks pretty desolate and beaten up. I can imagine that 17 and 18 would have played around up here and then gotten bored because there is nothing to do up there. Gohan and Trunks wander around a little bit trying to find Mr. Popo before the genie then arrives looking quite scared, but then when he sees Gohan he looks mightily relieved. Now remember, Trunks hasn't actually seen Mr. Popo before, and he's quite confused and a little scared about what the genie might do, whether he's a friend or a foe, or he can actually even do anything, but eventually he actually calms down. Popo can guess why they're here, but Gohan has no clue. Bulma just told them to go to look out for answers. They had no clear goal in mind. He asks the genie if there is any way to get stronger lickety-split. Popo has the answer. The Room of Spirit and Time. 1 year's worth of training in a single day. That's the ticket. Now, I think that the Room of Spirit and Time would still be there. It would be resilient enough to deal against the artificial humans, because it took the likes of Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and Super Buu on the inside to destroy the buildings surrounding it. We are talking about heavenly, divine, multi-dimensional time rifts. Yeah, I think that's beyond the robots here. Popo shows them to the door and then warns them that they have to be in the right frame of mind to enter and actually use the training effectively. Popo then tells Gohan that Goku went in there as a child and could only sustain himself for a couple of months before slightly going insane. If he stayed in there longer, he probably would have died. Gohan looks deadly serious towards Popo and states that this is their only chance. They have to just take it. Sure enough, they do, with Trunks looking quite nervous. Understandably so, mind you. Since they don't have to interrupt their training to then go and deal what 17 and 18 are up to, you know, they have to act like superheroes, they can actually train unabated without any distractions. It would be a much more effective than it would have been had they been training outside for the similar period of time. During this year of training, Gohan gets stronger, touching on the likes of Super Saiyan Grade 2. And Trunks is able to unlock the power of Super Saiyan because remember in the special, he was so close to achieving it. And I imagine that Trunks' upheaval in life and his childhood would have been enough to actually activate it, given that little bit more time. Gohan would actually push him to the brink of fury by stating that his mother's probably dead outside and he's done nothing to help her. This would actually touch on Trunks' emotions quite significantly, and that would have activated the transformation, and they would actually had Trunks punch Gohan in the face without even being aware of it, and yeah, it would have been quite dramatic, quite emotionally overflowing, and just really intense. Of course, future Bulma isn't dead at this point, but Gohan just had to say it, and he actually apologizes for even saying it, but it was the only way that Trunks could transform. 1 year inside the chamber has passed, and Trunks and Gohan exit it. Gohan is much stronger, and Trunks has been able to master the Super Saiyan transformation rather effectively. He's still at grade 1, but he can actually turn it on and off relatively easily. Now, Trunks is still no match for the artificial humans on his own, but if he's with Gohan, he can prove quite useful. Gohan, though, is on a whole other level. Having learnt the Super Saiyan transformation originally on his own, after actually trying to remember the teachings from Goku, now that he actually has an effective sparring partner, he was able to actually get stronger much more efficiently than ever before. Popo says that they can go back in for another turn if they needed it, but Gohan right now doesn't want to even think about going in there for another year, let alone Trunks. Because remember, this is the point of Z where the Room of Spirit and Time is not something to be taken lightly. It's inhospitable there. You can go insane, you could die of the heat, you could freeze from the cold, things just screw around, it doesn't get dark. It's like an isolation tank with a fridge and a bed. It's not like these days in Super where it's just a plot convenience. It mattered if you went in there. Gohan and Trunks then return to Capsule Corporation and try and figure out a plan, once again making sure that their power levels are subdued to not attract attention. Bulma notices that Trunks looks quite different. He's slightly taller and his hair has grown out, like it looks in the anime. I'd also imagine Gohan rocking a beard because why not? Beards look cool. Bulma asks Gohan whether he'd like to have a replacement arm, like a robotic arm, to actually replace his missing one. Gohan declines this offer and actually says, maybe when this is all over. Now they're outside the chamber, Gohan and Trunks continue to train as per usual until the events that happen in Pepper Town occur. In the original timeline, Gohan knocks Trunks out to make sure that he doesn't disturb the fight and that he doesn't get himself killed. Now though, Trunks is a Super Saiyan and can actually prove useful, so instead of knocking him out, he tells Trunks to get ready and they both fly off to the scene. The pair arrive in Pepper Town. Gohan tells Trunks to hold back for now and prepare a Buster Cannon and wait until he gives the signal before using it. Gohan ambushes 17 like he does in the anime. This time though, that attack is much more effective and despite only having one arm, Gohan and 17's fight is actually pretty even. Gohan's still in Super Saiyan Grade 1, mind you, and this is when Gohan appeals to the artificial human's ego. It's grown quite significantly because they've been able to dominate the planet. They think they're just, the bee's knees right now. He wants to show something that they might find entertaining, and of course they oblige. Gohan powers up to Super Saiyan Grade 2, which is akin to the power that future Trunks had in that little amendment at the end of the Cell Saga, the episode Fight for the Future. 17 is eager to fight this guy, but the fight turns out to not be quite as easy for him. 17 is trounced, and within just a couple of minutes, 17 is begging 18 to just come in and help me already. This is the signal. Gohan shouts, "Now!" And Trunks then appears from out of nowhere and launches a Buster Cannon which catches 18 in the back. That wins her quite nastily, and actually stops her in her tracks, so that means she can't then try and jump Gohan. With 17 whipping around to try and figure out what the hell is going on, Gohan uses this opportunity to actually point a beam point blank in 17's face, wiping him out instantly. 17 is dead. When 18 gets back up, she is left confused and bewildered. She shouts out to 17, but he doesn't reply. He isn't there. Trunks then kicks her in the back and she lands at Gohan's feet. Gohan looks down at her with contempt. It's over. It's dead. You're next. 18 doesn't believe him, and then fights Gohan out of desperation. Trunks then launches himself into the fray out of also desperation, which is something that Gohan didn't expect, and it takes him off guard. Gohan tells Trunks to get away, and 18 uses this as an opportunity of her own. She whips around and grabs Trunks by the neck, and tells Gohan that if he gets any closer, he will blast Trunks' face off. Gohan is resolute, and he reiterates what he said earlier. It's dead. I killed it. Look around you. 18 cautiously scans the area and sees remnants of 17. A bit of hair there, a foot there, remnants of that little orange ascot that he wore. It's pretty evident that 17 is indeed dead. In that moment of distraction, Trunks headbutts 18 and gets himself loose of her grip. He then promptly kicks her up to the air and blasts her constantly. Gohan then too joins in the blasting. 18 is sent up further and further into the sky by the velocity of the blasts. Gohan and Trunks then stop before charging up a double Masenko, which is enough to take out 18 right there and then. She is wiped off clean of the face of the earth. 18 is also dead. They've done it! They defeated the artificial humans! What now? Well, time to rebuild. When they arrive back at Capsule Corporation, they tell Bulma exactly what happened, and she is thrilled. She reveals that while they've been gone, she managed to figure out a way that they could build a spaceship to try and get to New Namek and use their Dragon Balls because they're still around. They can now actually build this ship without worrying that the artificial humans will come and destroy it. They can do it without distraction. But wait, Masako, what about the time machine? Isn't that going to be figuring that? Well, no. Since Gohan and Trunks defeated the artificial humans, there's no need to go back in time. I believe that they would have actually found New Namek and used the Dragon Balls to wish Piccolo back to life. And therefore, Kami would be brought back to life, so that means the Earth Dragon Balls would then again be reactivated. From there, they can try and slowly rebuild the Z Fighters, bringing them back to life one by one, either using the Namekian Dragon Balls or the Earth Dragon Balls. And since Goku died of natural causes, they couldn't use the Earth Dragon Balls because the Earth Dragon Balls can't do that, bring people back to life who had died from either old age or from natural causes. As for Imperfect Cell, he would still be skulking around, spending the rest of his days trying to scoop up energy wherever he can. Since 17 and 18 are no longer around, he's got no reason for existence. Well, at least he'd be wandering around till the Z-Fighters found him and finished him off. Cell wouldn't even have the luxury of finding a time machine to snatch because it was never built. He would just have to actually scoop up energy from any wandering civilians bit by bit just to even sustain him. He'd have no directive. It's kind of sad in a way. Oh well. And oh yeah, Gohan would have a sick robot arm. Robot arms make everything better. So there we go. This is what might have happened had future Gohan survived. The Rim of Spirit and Time might seem like an obvious fix, but I believe that the actual specials writer, Hiroshi Toda, wasn't aware of the Rim of Spirit and Time when he actually wrote the screenplay. He wasn't privy to Toriyama's plans for the room, and then had to kind of guess what would have happened. And also, we knew about future Trunks' past, so to then just change it again would have been pointless and just rather weird. Basically, the history of Trunks is a 50-minute flashback. But this is a what if. We don't have such constraints. We can speculate freely. We know about the Rim of Spirit and Time. We can actually guess that Popo's still alive because there's no official confirmation. And then we can just put him in there, have Gohan and Trunks go in there, then come out, then take out the artificial humans. Boom! Makes it so much easier. Gohan would have been the leader of the Z Fighters, and now as soon as everyone's revived, they would have to play catch up. I think that Gohan would actually make a really effective leader after years of hard graft and adversity. It would have toughened him up something chronic. Forget about the studies, he had to survive and be strong. He would be a total badass, that's for sure. So what do you guys think? Did you like the scenario? Is there something I might have missed? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!